Hey, our friend, Professor Steve, called the hotline. He asked about some leftover lawn fertilizer he had. Here, listen to his call.
Hello, Len, Julio, if you're there yet, and Aaron, how you doing? This is the professor, and I had a question about grass. I know it's almost freezing time, and the lawn will be too hard to work. But my question is, can I add fertilizer now? I have a whole bunch of step one fertilizer. I was wondering if I could just fertilize now, and then perhaps in the spring when it thaws out again. I'm interested to know if it would do any good. Okay? You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Well, come on, Aaron. You can do Professor Steve really well.
Professor Steve, you're in the garden, my man. Hey, Baba da Booby.
You know, Professor Steve came in and we were talking about, he has step one. So what does he have left over? He's got the product that's supposed to be put in springtime. And he wanted to put it down. And I mean, technically, he can, but legally, he cannot. New Jersey has a law, and homeowners cannot apply fertilizer between November 15th and March 1st on their lawn. So, I mean, he can't. And being a former law professor and law officer, he'd have to arrest himself. But that was New York. So speaking of New York, New York is between December 1st and April 1st. So they're even early. Think about that, April 1st. I mean, that's like, you better get your crabgrass control down, quick.
Yeah, real fast.
So in New York, that law, same law, December 1st and April 1st. And not to leave out Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, it's all about the nitrogen and phosphorus, if you've noticed. And if you've taken care of your lawn for any time, that all of a sudden the phosphorus has disappeared from your fertilizers. And they can't be applied from December 15th. So those of you in Pennsylvania hearing our voice, you can put it down today, which is the 14th. Yeah. But tomorrow you can't. So if you've got anything you want to put down in your lawn,
right. Professor Steve's going to be at your house looking.
Right. The other thing is where he has step one, where it's really high in nitrogen, which honestly you don't really want. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to get any benefit out of it. May early if we have an early spring, but it's not going to help anything. You just save it and put it down. Let's see, March 2nd. Okay. So, all right. So why do they have these laws? They're basically blackout dates because they found that our waterways are getting clogged up with algae blooms. Like, you ever hear, it's like, oh, well, there's an algae bloom off the coast. And that's coming from farming and fertilizer. And so what happens, that runoff, that fertilizer, instead of just going and perking down into your soil, it runs off into the water ways, and it ends up that it causes algae, which is a plant, to multiply and bloom, and it can take oxygen away from fish. It's just something that they have noticed that Chesapeake Bay has been critical with this, and I think they were the leaders when it comes to this.
I was going by, Pittman, Alcyon Lake was covered with algae.
Covered with algae.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are ways to contribute, but if you're in the Atlantic Ocean, you're not going to treat it. But Alcyon Lake, though, that was a super site at one time, right? Yeah. But they, so that means super pollutant. It was big in I guess it was the 2000s, or when did it designated? It was early. If I lived in Pittman, I would be, oh my God, I'm moving.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And because that was kind of near your home, right?
Yeah, it was in my house.
So, but they had a Sony factory.
That's right.
That was making. Any of you out there remember CDs? CDs, those disc things. Anyway, that they used to stamp them out right there in Pittman at that factory, which is now closed. And that I guess there was And it was RCA before that,
RCA,
right?
yeah.
So it was the pollutants from there more so than the fertilizer. But like you said, the fertilizers for lawns are causing that algae to be an issue. And to be honest with you, I don't have results. I mean, this law in New Jersey goes all the way back to Chris Christie when he was governor, and he's run for president twice since then. Boom, boom. So anyway, that I understand why. And I understand that the higher phosphorus in fertilizer do not necessarily need it. When we talk and we train about fertilizers, we say up, down, all around, and that means the numbers. So when you get a fertilizer, a bag of fertilizer, whether it's for your lawn or for your garden, it's going to have 3 numbers on it because they are nutrients that you need in higher percentages. Okay, so nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and it's NPK. But to remember it easier, like we train by saying up, so it makes nitrogen, makes it grow and makes your lawn grow and makes it green and all those things that you want to see in your lawn. Okay, so down, up, down is phosphorus, and that's what they've taken out. That makes the roots grow, and that makes it that reproduce, and that again is NPK. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Potassium, you know what you used to call in olden days?
What?
Potash.
Oh, potash.
Potash. All right. So that last number on the bag, it's all around. So it also helps the plant to divide. It helps it to it's basically health for the plant all around. So they've changed it so that it protects the waterways, and we certainly don't want to poison our ground, our water, or anything like that. I think with the new administration coming along, that there will be probably things will get a little stricter. Not really sure, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised because, again, the whole point of making America healthy again is going to be there's going to be restrictions on herbicides, pesticides. There will be certainly things that will be taken off of the market because we're finding them in our food. Do you remember when you weren't eating seafood because there was so much mercury in the seafood? It's kind of things like that where we're trying to do things so that it makes our country healthier. And I understand it makes our job a little harder. It may make you bend down and weed by hand. I don't see it's not long for this world, but Roundup and the glyphosate thing, that's not going to be around long. But again, this goes back to what Professor Steve asked. Can you put down that fertilizer? And basically the answer is legally no. So we've got after November 1st to March 1st, you can't put any lawn fertilizer down in New Jersey. In Pennsylvania, you can't put any lawn fertilizers down between December 15th and March 1st. And then in New York, it's again December 1st and April 1st. You don't need to. You don't need to. And this is for lawn fertilizer. Fertilizing your shrubs individually, those kind of things, like, for instance, using an organic like Espoma Hollytone on your shrubs is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. But like Julio talked about, things they're going dormant. Like in the last segment, we talked about things are going dormant. So they're not going to get the benefit of it until spring. And we say on your shrubs anyways, to do it twice a year. Make sure you're doing it in fall, and I would consider fall, October, and then doing it in the spring. I would consider that any time between March and really May. And that will help your plants grow. And technically, because it's an organic, it releases slow, and you could put another application of Hollytone in between that period. And like I said, organic. All of Hollytone, they have done a lot of research and are very responsible, where the majority of their tone products plant tone, biotone, polytone, rose tone, bulb tone are basically all organic, and that they work. It's not one of those organic things that don't work, like corn gluten. Anyway, but that's another show.